You ever hear a story that makes you check the locks twice before going to bed? Not a ghost story, not some campfire legend, but something real. So real it could happen in your neighborhood, to your neighbors, or maybe even to you. That's what we're diving into tonight. This is the story of Daniel Reeves, the man everyone in Willow Creek thought they knew. Teacher, a mentor, a friend. But the truth? The truth was darker than anyone could have imagined. Willow Creek was the kind of place people described as safe. No big crime, no gangs, no city noise. Just tidy lawns, Friday night football games, and neighbors who waved at each other. It was a town where nothing bad ever happened, or so people liked to believe. But people forget. Evil doesn't always show up in ski masks or broken windows. Sometimes it smiles at you in the grocery store line. And in Willow Creek, that smile belonged to Daniel Reeves. Daniel Reeves was 38, a history teacher at Willow Creek High. If you asked his students, they'd say he was the kind of teacher who made boring lessons interesting. He'd turn battles and revolutions into stories, complete with sound effects and reenactments. Parents adored him. He stayed after class to tutor, ran the history club, even coached soccer. Neighbors? They'd tell you he was polite, well-kept, the type who shoveled your driveway in winter without being asked. Daniel lived alone in a neat, two-story house on Maple Lane. No wife, no kids. He had a sister who lived in another state, but they weren't close. People assumed he just hadn't met the right woman yet. And maybe that's why nobody thought twice about him. He blended in perfectly. But behind closed doors, Daniel kept journals. Dozens of them, leather-bound, numbered, stacked neatly in his basement. And in those journals, he wrote things no polite school teacher should ever write. Now, let's talk about the Callahans. Michael Callahan was in his early 40s, a construction contractor who'd built half the new houses in Willow Creek. Big guy, rough around the edges, but good-hearted. His wife, Sarah, worked part-time at the library. People described her as warm, the kind of woman who remembered your kids' names and always had cookies ready when neighbors stopped by. And then there was Lily, 8 years old, bright, curious, obsessed with drawing horses. She was the kind of kid who ran into the ice cream shop and made everyone smile just by being there. The Callahans were the picture-perfect family, the kind everyone secretly envied. But in Daniel Reeves' journals, they weren't just a family. They were something else entirely. September 23rd, a Thursday. The sky was heavy with clouds, the kind that pressed down on you like the whole town was holding its breath. At 8:30 that night, Daniel was seen at the diner. Coffee, cherry pie, scribbling in his journal. The waitress remembered because he tipped her 20 on a $5 check. By 9:15, he was gone. At 10:02 p.m., the sheriff's office got a call. A neighbor, shaky, terrified. "Sheriff, it's the Callahan place. Something's wrong. The lights are on, the door's open. And, oh God, you need to get here." When deputies arrived, the Callahan house was eerily silent. The front door hung open. Cold night air drifted inside. In the living room, chaos. A lamp smashed. Couch cushions shredded. A coffee table flipped. Blood smeared across the wall in frantic handprints, like someone had clawed their way out. The smell hit them next. Iron, sharp and metallic, mixed with something else. Sweat. Fear. The dining room told a different story. Plates still on the table. Dinner half-eaten. Glasses of water untouched. It was as if life had been paused mid-bite. Upstairs, Lily's room was a mess of toppled toys and torn blankets. The closet door was open, as if she'd tried to hide. But here's the thing. There were no bodies. Not a single member of the Callahan family was found that night. Just silence. Sheriff Harold McKinney had been in Willow Creek for 30 years. He'd dealt with bar fights, drunk drivers, maybe a burglary or two. But nothing like this. He sealed the house, called in state investigators, and tried to calm a town that was already whispering. But Harold had a problem. He knew the Callahans personally. Everyone did. And when you know the victims, it's not just a case. It's personal. The whispers started fast. Maybe it was a robbery. No, I heard Michael owed money to some shady contractors. Didn't Sarah spend a lot of time with that guy from the library? Theories spread faster than facts. But nobody pointed at Daniel Reeves. Not yet. The first suspect? Michael himself. Some said he snapped. Maybe killed his family, staged a scene, vanished. Then there was Sarah's coworker at the library, a man who'd been seen talking to her a little too closely. People said maybe he was obsessed. Maybe he followed her home. Even a group of teenagers got pulled in. They'd been caught sneaking around the abandoned farmhouse outside town. Rumors swirled about cult activity, rituals, sacrifices. The sheriff chased every lead, but nothing stuck. And meanwhile, Daniel Reeves kept showing up at school, teaching history like nothing had happened. Calm, smiling, ordinary. Except one student noticed something. Daniel's hand. His knuckles were raw, scabbed over. When asked about it, he laughed. Oh, just fixing a shelf at home. Clumsy me. The break came when a diner waitress mentioned that strange line she'd glimpsed in his journal. 3 shall fall before the moon bleeds red. Investigators got curious. They pulled Daniel in for questioning. He was polite, cooperative. His alibi was simple. I was at the diner till 9. Went home, graded papers, went to bed. But then they checked his phone records. At 9:47 p.m., Daniel's phone pinged a tower half a mile from the Callahan house. And his car? Spotless. Too spotless. Except for a single red thread wedged between the seat and console. It matched Lily Callahan's pajamas. The warrant came through. Daniel's house was neat upstairs, clean dishes, vacuumed carpets, bed made. But in the basement, shelves lined with journals. Dozens of them. Page after page of dates, names, cryptic phrases. Some matched real events in town, a fire, a car crash. Others were predictions. And behind a false wall, detectives found a hidden room. Soundproof. Concrete. 3 sets of handcuffs bolted to the wall. And on the floor, a stuffed bunny, stained with something brownish red. The Callahans weren't there. But suddenly, Daniel Reeves didn't look like everyone's favorite teacher anymore. When word spread, Willow Creek changed overnight. Parents kept kids home from school. People triple locked their doors. The grocery store shelves emptied. Reporters flooded in, cameras flashing, headlines screaming. Beloved teacher linked to missing family. Neighbors who once smiled at Daniel now swore they'd always felt something off. And still, Daniel vanished. No car, no credit cards, no sightings. For weeks, fear sat heavy on Willow Creek. People jumped at shadows, swore they saw figures in the woods. And then, one rainy evening, a hunter stumbled across an old cabin. Smoke rose from the chimney. Through a crack in the boards, the hunter saw a man inside, disheveled, muttering, surrounded by maps and candles. When police stormed in, Daniel Reeves was waiting. Not with a gun, not with a fight, but with a smile. "You're too late," he whispered. The ritual's already begun. And in the corner of the cabin, shackled, starved, but alive, were the Callahans. The town thought the nightmare was over. But in court, Daniel Reeves was worse than ever. He didn't shout, didn't rant. He just sat there, calm, smirking, like he knew something no one else did. The prosecution presented his journals, his phone records, the cabin. The evidence was overwhelming. But when asked why, Daniel only said, "They were chosen. I was only the vessel." Sarah Callahan testified, her voice trembling as she described the nights chained in the cabin. Daniel whispering passages from his journals like prayers. Michael described trying to fight back, the blow to his head, waking up shackled. Little Lily never spoke in court. She just clutched her stuffed bunny, the same one police found in Daniel's basement. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all counts. Daniel was sent to a maximum security prison. But even behind bars, he unnerved people. Guards reported him scribbling on the walls with chalk, food, even blood from his own fingers. Always the same words. Three shall fall before the moon bleeds red. Some guards swore he knew things before they happened. A fire in the kitchen. A fight in the yard. All written in his cell days before. Most called it coincidence. Others weren't so sure. The Callahans survived, but they didn't stay in Willow Creek. Too many memories. Too much fear. They moved away, changed their names, tried to rebuild. The town tried to forget, tried to go back to normal. But every so often, someone swore they saw Daniel Reeves smile in their dreams. And his journals? Not all of them were found. Some say there are still volumes hidden somewhere in Willow Creek, waiting to be discovered. So, what do you think? Was Daniel Reeves just a madman who got lucky with his so-called predictions? Or was there something more, something darker, that we'll never understand? That's the thing about stories like this. The scariest part isn't what we know. It's what we don't. And maybe, just maybe, Willow Creek hasn't seen the last of Daniel Reeves.